There is something about music that encourages vulnerability. Great hymns that inspire hope, courage, and obedience keep us in touch with our Christian heritage. A Mighty Fortress takes us back to the Reformation and allows us to hear the words of Martin Luther. Joyful, Joyful exposes us to the music of Beethoven and allows us to revel in the melodic mastery of one of the great composers in church history. Hymns remind us of our founders, our history, and our doctrinal distinctives. Hymns embed Christian truths in our minds and hearts. They engage intellect, imagination, and emotion. Christian concepts are tucked away in our minds, ready to be pulled out when we need them. Many were put there by the repeated singing of the great hymns. Our hymns have taught us that God is faithful, that He provides a firm foundation for our lives, that His love will not let us go, and that we should take time to be holy. Let's listen in as we share in hymns that inspire hope, courage, and obedience.
In the world that we live in today, in the world of social media, in the world of internet, in the world of Facebook and all the other avenues we have to connect with one another and communicate with each other, isn't it strange that in spite of all the tools we have for communication, there is still less connection between people? Parents are complaining that children are straying away from them because they are spending more time on their computers. Isn't it strange that the very things we thought would connect our hearts together are the very things that is causing distance among us? Such has been the thought of parents from many years ago. And because of this thought in their mind, the one thing that parents are crying out today for is FaceTime. FaceTime means that you have a close personal connection with the ones that you love. FaceTime is when you eyeball with one another. FaceTime is where instead of just picking up the phone or communicating through email, FaceTime is when you have personal communication with each other. The hymn that we are going to explore right now is entitled Face to Face with Christ My Savior. It appears as if this author wanted to have that close bond and connection with Christ. He was not satisfied with a long-distance relationship with Jesus Christ. The history of this hymn is really a fascinating history. The story is relayed to us. A pastor, his wife, and the author of this hymn, Grant Tulla, they made their way over to a house of someone who was sick in the year 1898. While they prayed for this person, asking for God to heal the sick, they hurried home because that evening they had to continue an evangelistic meeting that they had started during that week. They needed to eat something quickly. And because they had to have supper, they went and whatever was available, they decided to eat this. Tulla was assisting the pastor and his wife during this evangelistic series. In a hurry to get supper on the table, someone failed to fill the jelly dish. The pastor at that time felt that he knew that Tulla enjoyed jelly, and his wife also knew that. So when the jelly dish was passed, the pastor realized there was only one bite left. And so he passed it to his wife, and his wife in turn passed it to Tulla. As Tulla received the dish, he looked at the last bite that was there, fixed his eyes into the eyes of the pastor and his wife, and with his hands outstretched, he said, "All this for me? All of it?" Suddenly, when he exclaimed, "All for me," a thought came to his mind. All for me, he thought, was a good song. And so he went to the piano and he wrote the music for this beautiful hymn with the idea all for me in his mind. He placed the jelly dish back on the table. He immediately excused himself, and it's as if God was inspiring him. The music began to play. And when he had finished composing this music piece, he played it for the pastor and his wife. They were impressed. And Tulla told them if they give him some time, he would improve the piece so that it would be a good musical to play later on. Before going to bed that evening, Tulla promised the pastor that he would arise early in the morning and revise the tune. He never did, because the next morning, very early the next morning, the postman arrived. And among all the parcels and letters that the postman brought that day, he brought a stack of poems from a lady whose name was Frank Breck. This lady had presented a whole batch of poems to the pastor, and when Tuller opened one of the poems, he looked at one poem and it dawned on him that the music he had written would fit perfectly with one of the poems that Breck had written. And the title of that poem was Face to Face. This is a song that has warmed the hearts of many throughout the ages because it speaks so wonderfully of face time with Jesus. When we will not just communicate with God through prayer and through faith, but when we'll touch Jesus, when we'll see Him, when we'll experience Him face to face, when we'll sit at His feet and hear the words coming from His lips. Tuller was born in August 5, 1869 in Vermont. He was converted at the age of 19 at a Methodist camp meeting. And I can imagine that part and parcel of his conversion experience would be putting together music to the words of this hymn, Face to Face. The hymn simply says, face to face with Christ my Savior. Oh, face to face, what will it be? When in rapture I behold Him, Jesus Christ who died for me. I myself cannot imagine what a day it's going to be when we see Jesus face to face, the one who shed His blood, the one who gave His life for you and I. What an amazing experience it's going to be when we see Jesus face to face. And then he goes on to say, recounting life's experience, he says, only faintly now I see Him, with the darkening veil between. But a blessed day is coming when His glory shall be seen. His third stanza says, what rejoicing in His presence when are banished grief and pain. Oh, dear friends, the purpose behind this hymn is to remind us that a day is coming when there'll be no more sorrow, no more pain. That day when we'll see Jesus face to face, all our questions will be answered. That day indeed is going to be a glorious day. He says in the refrain, face to face shall I behold Him, far beyond the starry sky. Face to face in all His glory, I shall see Him by and by. This is based on the New Testament verse that says, but now we see through a glass faintly, but the day is coming when we shall see face to face. And then he goes on to say, oh, face to face, oh blissful moment, face to see and know, face to face with my Redeemer, Jesus Christ, who loves me so. What a day it's going to be when indeed we stand in front of Christ, the one who is our Redeemer, the one who is our Savior, and connect with Him and communicate with Him face to face. Indeed, it's going to be a most marvelous day. I look forward to the day when I too will see Jesus face to face. As you listen to the words of this beautiful hymn, sung to us by Marvin, I pray that God would place a burden upon your heart to live holy and righteous so that we will one day see Jesus face to face. And what a day that will be when all the trials we've been going through here and overcoming by His grace would bear fruit when we see Him face to face. There would be no fulfilling moment other than seeing Jesus face to face.
Face to face with Christ my Savior, face to face, what will it be when with rapture I behold Him, Jesus Christ, who died for me. What rejoicing in His presence face, oh blissful moment, face to see and know, face to face with my Redeemer, Jesus Christ, who loves me so. Face to face shall I behold Him far beyond the starry sky. Face to face in all His glory, I shall see Him by and by.
Thank you, Marvin, for reminding us and inviting us to anticipate that moment when we will see Jesus face to face. I personally can't imagine a more wonderful day. I can't imagine a more glorious experience than seeing my Jesus face to face. Can you imagine? Now we believe by faith, but on that day when we are reunited with God, we'd be able to touch Him, we'd be able to feel Him and see Him indeed face to face. While we journey on this earth, it is possible for us to have a close connection with God through prayer and through dedicating our lives to Him. But still, nothing would come close to seeing Jesus face to face. Oh, of all the faces that I would like to see in heaven, the face of Jesus, the face of my Savior, the one who has redeemed me, forgiven me, cleansed me, and given me hope. What a day it will be when I turn my eyes and look into the eyes of Jesus and see Him face to face. Won't that be your desire also? To one day indeed see Jesus face to face.